Okay. How are you?
Let's see if I can get Phyllis's attention. Phyllis? She's not looking. Phyllis?
Mr. Mayor, we're now live.
Thank you, Justin.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, Diana?
Yes, I can.
I can.
Okay, okay, I had to go out and come back in.
I don't see the mayor anymore. He's not on my screen. And it's 6:30.
Do you want Matthew to call it to order?
Can anyone see the mayor? He was just there.
I apologize. Unfortunately, the clock on my wall is slow, so I'm glad you said something, Diana. I went to get a glass of water. So, before we begin, welcome to all of you who are joining us. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that you can find a copy of tonight's agenda at simpsonville.com/meetings. This will help you follow along if you like. And it's also a longstanding tradition for City Council to have an invocation before each meeting. We invite any member of the public to deliver an invocation that's consistent with your beliefs and appropriate for the solemn nature of this assembly. Since we're meeting virtually, I invite you to contact me at City Hall if you want to volunteer for a future meeting. As we don't have a volunteer and we have no recorded message to be delivered, is there any member of council or staff that would like to do the invocation this evening? If there is no one volunteering, if you would bow your heads, please. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together to conduct the good work of the city of Simpsonville this evening. Please look out over all of us as a member of this council and our city staff, our first responders, and all the employees of the city of Simpsonville and our citizens to help us and protect us in this difficult time. In your name we pray. Amen. With that, I call to order the February 9th, 2021 business meeting of Simpsonville City Council. Clerk Long, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gooch?
Here.
Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Houlihan?
Here.
Councilmember Roche?
Here.
Councilmember Cummings?
Here.
Councilmember Hutchings?
Here.
Mayor Shoemaker?
Here.
We have a quorum, one absent, Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you, Clerk Long. Moving on, item 3 on the agenda is a public hearing regarding the Greenville County Redevelopment Authority 2021 Program Year Annual Action Plan. We welcome Emma Novadu from the GCRA to conduct this public hearing. Ms. Novadu, I turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. Phyllis, will you be sharing that presentation or just go ahead?
Just go ahead. I don't have any way to share it from this side.
Yeah, I don't have it on my computer, but we were all emailed a copy of that, and it's
That's right.
All right, that's great. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity of presenting the 2021 Annual Action Plan for Greenville County. And it was just a year ago, it was pre-COVID, and now we're going through this process. And it's been an interesting year, but I'm so glad everybody's here. So what is the Annual Action Plan? That's basically a proposal that we sent to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, telling them how we're going to use entitlement funds that comes to the county. And of course, the entitlement funds are Community Development Block Grant, the Home, and Emergency Solutions Grant. For the purpose of this meeting, we're going to focus a lot more on the CDBG, on the Community Development Block Grant, and the home funding. Because the Emergency Solutions Grant is really county-wide, so it's not specific to Simpsonville, so everybody in the county can use that. And the fiscal year 2021 really begins July 1 of 2021 to June 30th of 2022, so it's kind of half of the year of this year and half of the next year. And it's also interesting that this particular fiscal year actually marks the second year of the 5-year plan. If you all remember when I came to you guys last year, we were talking about doing the 5-year plan. So we finished, sent it, so we're currently 2020 is the first year, so now we're going to be talking about second year funding and second year plan. So what is community development block grant? The main thing is it must serve at least 70% of the beneficiaries must be low and moderate income families. And I know when you say what is low and moderate income families, and that's basically how it determines each year projects the annual median income for the county. For 2020, Greenville County as a whole is actually 74,000 annual income for the area median income. So definitely the 80% and below of that amount is the area median income. And I have, and I believe I did send you guys a chart to tell you how the distribution of the income per adjusted household size. And one thing is the CDBG must serve low and moderate income families. And it must benefit, either you can call them limited clientele, there's a particular target. If it's 7 seniors, that's presumed low mod. Then you can also use to address slum and blight. If you want to demo properties that are deteriorated, you can use it for that purpose as well. And of course, the urgent need. Like right now, we have COVID. That's something you can talk about an urgent need, if you had this flood disaster and things like that. The home fund is basically supply and increase the affordability of affordable housing. All of the beneficiaries must be low mod. So that's really about housing, could be homeownership or rental. The CDBG expands a little bit, and as I talk a little bit more, I'm going to, from the presentation I sent you, gives you examples of things that we do, from infrastructure to facility improvement to economic development to public service activities as well. So all that would fall under the CDBG funding. And I also gave you a 3-year funding analysis that you have. We're still working on the 2021. We don't have actual numbers. And from that chart, you can see that I used the grant number for 2020 to be the same as 2021 because we use the current year as the base year. Then once the funding comes, we adjust accordingly. Program income, the PI you see there, that basically proceeds that you get. Like for instance, if we sold a house in Simpsonville, the proceeds will be developed with home funding. Once it's sold, it comes back to you as program income. So we haven't built any house, I think, in the past 10 years. The program income you have for CDBG and the home basically are interest payments from families or households that have used the money to rehab their homes and things. So as they're paying, it's coming back to you as program income. And each year we project how much we think you're going to have. So this year is like the home grant staying at the same level as 2020 could increase. And you can see between 19 and 20, there was an increase. And we changed it accordingly. So if it increases, you're going to have an increase. So starting with 226,630 for CDBG funds. And then we're projecting a program income of 4,000. But it could very well be that one of the houses they were rehab, somebody decides to refinance, they're going to have to pay recapture, and it goes back into your program to be used for something else again. So a home grant using the same level as 2020 is 80,108. And we're projecting home program income coming from rental property that we have, let's say rented or interest payment. So you got about, we project about $12,000 there. So for 2021, we are proposing a total budget of $322,738 for home, CDBG, and their program income respectively. We also have a chart of all the different things, but having that total and looking at what you have carried forward, finding that you didn't use last year doesn't mean you get lost. We carry forward all that money to year. So they plus what you have existing. And we look at what you have and where they are, and then we know the appropriate places based on also plans that the city and the city administrator told us that they want to do and things, programs that are, we've seen interest coming in. For instance, for the past couple of For the past 1 year, we've gotten a lot of interest on facade. As a matter of fact, 2 days ago, I got another call that they're planning about 10 other new facade projects coming on again. And we also have the facility improvement for the senior center. So having to save money for that program once you have the funding to do the improvement. So as you can see the breakdown, we have like new construction, unoccupied rehab, rental activity. That's something we leave set aside for reserve on the rental property that we have. And then of course 103, which is almost 32% of the total fund to set aside for the facility improvements you have for the senior center. You have, we've got some properties for demolition, so there's a budget of about $65,000 to address slum and blight. The star recipients right now are your senior center and Center for Community Services. And I'll also mention something else that Center for Community Services have helped us with COVID. We'll talk about that later on as well. And of course, you have to start improvement. You do have some balance, and this will give another 3 more units as well. So although we have this, if there's a need for transfer of funds, and we do that accordingly based on things that are happening, and it must be transferred within what you can't transfer residential to infrastructure. It has to be something like that. Yes. And I also want to mention at this particular time the type of housing activities that we have. Basically, based on the complaint that we have, we were able to introduce another program. Using the complaint, we used some studies. There were some housing studies that was done. There was also the analysis of impediments that highlighted the need for affordable housing, both homeownership and rental. And I can tell you that in the past 6 months, the homeownership units, housing sales in Greenville County is really skyrocketed. The rental units are so expensive that now we really have to think about purposefully thinking about having affordable homeownership units and affordable rental units. So some of the programs I showed you up to like 9 different programs. GCRA not only gap finance projects by developers, we also develop affordable housing. Last 5-year comp plan, but we finished it. It showed that we actually met about 94% of our goal in housing. We projected 1,000, about almost close to 2,000. We got close to that, but we're not even near the need. The housing study said we have to provide about 12,000. So Charles data from HUD saying that we have to provide about 45,000 units. So you could see the need for affordable housing. There's an indigenous need in the county. So having opportunities between us and our partners. Right now we have the home and affordable housing grant proposals out. We're seeing a lot of LIHTC projects coming in for us to gap finance their projects. So those will provide additional funding if approved by the state trust fund and tax credit fund. We also, like I talked about, the homeownership, the same goes for rental units. We do have GCRA rental units that we do. We also partner with other developers to build those. We provide first-time home buyers through our partner with Community Work Carolina. Community Work Carolina. And one of the things that they do is provide. We've actually increased the down payment from $5,000 to $10,000. We recently increased the threshold. We used to have it like about under $200,000, but we realized that none of the houses, most of the houses are over 200. So we had to increase that and to just to meet the opportunity for people to buy and making sure that the front end is not, it's within 30 to 33%. So still keeping it affordable to meet those needs. That we are able to give up to $10,000 for first-time home buyers to be able to purchase their homes. And the rental, we do rental assistance using the Emergency Solutions Grant. And those rental assistance could be people who are literally homeless or at risk of homelessness. And I'll tell you a little bit of how COVID has changed the dynamics of those, so the increase and what we had going on as well. The new program that we introduced is an investor program, because we realized that some landlords, the property owners, have a need to repair their houses. But usually when they do that, they pass on that cost to the renter. So we're providing this program for up to $25,000 for landlords that they could use to rehab and still keep the units affordable. And the interest is about 1 to 2%, not more than 3. And that way we can spread it out and of course keeping affordability as well. So that is something that we're trying to push out there for property owners or landlords or mom and pops that have rental units and want to be able to fix their houses and still keep the tenants, keep the units affordable as well. One major thing that we're pushing a lot, and we have 3 different partners, is the repair program. We have Rebuild Upstate, we have Habitat Now, and we have Homeworks of Carolina. So there are 3 agencies that can work with seniors or families living with disabilities to fix their houses, and they have up to $10,000 in grants to be able to do those. And then we also have the regular unoccupied that gives up to $25,000. And just the article, the projects that we build, we can in-house finance if you're not able to get an affordable mortgage with our mortgage loan fund, and that's the CDBG funding that's used as that loan program. So like I say, as you can see, we have like 9 different programs there and project-related programs as well, and to make sure we're pushing affordable housing in the county. And all of these programs are not just used by home funds, it's a combination of home and ESG and CDBG. It's just making use of the funding that you have and seeing very innovative and creative ways to make sure you're pushing out affordable rental and homeownership in the county. When we talked about CDBG funds, it's helping to address community development as well as economic development activities. When we talk about community development, infrastructure improvement and facility improvement, demolition, public service, we talked about all that. And also we have neighborhoods. We encourage neighborhood associations to form an official association, and they can apply to us for what we call gap funding. We can give them up to $2,000, which they can use to address things amongst themselves, but that neighborhood must be low-margin community. The economic development loan, we do have small business loans, about $25,000. And then, of course, the facade that we still continue to encourage and promote in the county and the city. The one thing I want to talk about is the COVID funding. As a result of the COVID, and being that the county is also an urban county, based on the CARES Act that was enacted in March, we were given 2 major funding sources. And then additionally, the county would also receive money from Treasury. So we're able to combine those. And we use those to address rental assistance, utility assistance, mortgage assistance, businesses, food supplies, medical, and safety. Talking just about the housing-related rental, mortgage, and utilities, between the time that we were given the funds and had to amend our annual action plan to include these funds till the end of December, between all that, we were able to help almost 1,959 households, which comes to close to 2,258 persons. And in that, 506 of those were families or households looking for assistance on rental and utilities. We're able to help 67 more families to pay and be up to date with their mortgage. And then we had over 323 families looking for utility assistance, and it's not even, and we still have a lot, people still call. We have different partners working with us. The first round of the ESG CV funds is basically spent that out. So now we're using the CDBG CV. We finished the county CV fund that was given to us to help families. Essentially, I have to say that in Simpsonville, and we were able to have partners all over the county So people are now going to just one. And the list of all departments on our website, closest to you is the Center for Community Services. They were able to help a lot of families with rental assistance, well as utilities. They actually even helping food. So, and they're still doing it. They still have funding to help. If people are aware of anybody, we're able to do all. They're able to go online and provide information, and we're able to pay all past payments that is there. And since COVID is not ending anytime, we're continuing to do that. So this is just December 2020. And when we started, it wasn't until summer that we got the flood. So you can technically say 6 months. There are over 1,000 persons still going on. And it was talking about the project that we finished last year. The Woodside sidewalk, of course, is finished, and we're now trying to work with Habitat project. So they have started the infrastructure. We are partly paying for the projects. We're paying for the infrastructure improvement. We're also paying using Simpsonville funds some of the houses. GC area will build 3 out of the 13 housing units, and they are in the range of maybe from 12 to 1,400 square feet. Probably 3-bedroom to 4-bedroom housing units. So to get that. And I also showed you kind of one sample design. It's going to be different sample design, but they'll always kind of between us and Habitat, they'll kind of blend and match each other, so they will not be out of character in the area. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're doing. So, and one of the pages I sent you was the income guideline. Because people always wonder what is low month income. But I will take a particular for household of 4. For you to be 80% using 2020 number, for 80% of the area median income, you're making about 59,900. For you to be considered extremely low, which is 30% and below, for household of 4, it's about 22,450. It's very difficult to have homeownership units for families of 20, making 22. But we have to be able to provide at least some rental and make those houses more affordable for families. Families making 50% and below, that's the same thing. So you can see that if you're a 2-member household for 18,000, it's very difficult to find that. Even your income, you almost have to work almost twice the hours. Some of them 3 times. So that shows you the need to continue to provide affordable housing in the county as a whole. It's important. So the funding that you have, like I said, is a total of $322,720.38 used for those line items, proposed for those line items, and reflected in the resolution. The resolution needs to be adopted on or before March 31st. This will have to go to the next phase of approvals as well. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'd like to answer.
Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Robidoux? I have just one. On the income limits, is that based on gross income or the adjusted gross income from taxes?
Gross income.
Gross income. Okay.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 4 on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the business meeting of January 12th, 2021. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand as written. Item 5 on the agenda is citizen comments. We didn't have anyone sign up for comments this evening. I do want to make you aware that even though we are currently meeting virtually, getting your comments heard is very easy. You can call me at my office at City Hall and leave a message on my answering machine. That number is 967-5400. Or as an alternative, you can record your comments on a smartphone or a computer and email that to me at mayorshoemaker@simpsonville.com. My numbers and email can be found on the simpsonville.com website. Also be aware that you need to be a resident or business owner inside the city limits, and comments must be limited to 3 minutes per person commenting. All right, next on the agenda is our business items. Item 6A, resolution number 2021-01, CDBG home funds, fiscal year 2021. Administrator Gracely, please summarize.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. As you just heard, Ima's presentation at the public hearing, it is time to consider funding and where those allocations are going for our FY21 CDBG and home funds. The resolution addresses that. We've had that as part of your council packet. Primarily, we are looking to budget the funds for a few major items, one of which is our improvements to the senior center, the senior and activity center on West Curtis Street. Because that's a senior center, the income is already assumed to be low and moderate income, so there are no survey requirements or anything to use that. I'm currently working on a PIP grant through the state that we would combine with the community development block grant funding to completely renovate the community room, the kitchen, and the outdoor space on the back side of the senior and activity center to create a congregate dining facility at that location. And since we've been doing meal distribution this year, I think we have discovered that there's a great need for that service out of that facility. It's not being provided anywhere along the Golden Strip, either through Malden or Fountain. So we are currently doing meal distribution, and we would hopefully post-COVID and post PIP and CDBG grant improvements be able to offer congregate dining at that facility. We're also budgeting funds to continue facade improvement and to do some slum and blight removal, some demolition and clearance with that funding. Those are the major things. There is money also budgeted for emergency repair, as Ima mentioned. That's an eligible activity. Also, owner-occupied rehabilitation. That program allows people who maybe need a new heating or cooling system in their home, maybe electrical work, maybe a roof, repairs that would keep them in their home, thus, keeping affordable housing available for low and moderate income persons. So those are the main things that we're doing with the funding allocation that we have, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have about that resolution.
Thank you, Administrator Gracely. Councilmember Gooch.
Thank you. I move that we accept resolution 2021-01 CDBG home funds for fiscal year 2021. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Gooch with a second from Councilmember Cummings to approve resolution number 2021-01 CDBG home funds for fiscal year 2021. Discussion, questions? Councilmember Gooch.
Thank you. Just want to thank Ms. Ndobu. You come every year and you do a wonderful job. And it's always a pleasure to see you and to see your expertise. And I just really appreciate your coming every year and doing this and presenting this to us. You make it accessible, you make it understandable, and just really appreciate what you do, because you and your organization help our community tremendously. And we're just glad to see you every year. Glad you're still with us. So thank you very much for what you did, and I really do appreciate how you present this information. It is very helpful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Hearing none, on the motion to approve resolution number 2021-01 CDBG/home funds fiscal year 2021, City Clerk Long, will you conduct a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Gooch,
Yes.
Councilmember Houlihan,
Yes.
Councilmember Roche?
Yes.
Did I hear that Mr. Cummings has left?
No, you didn't. I'm here.
Okay, Mr. Cummings? What is your vote, Mr. Cummings? Councilmember Cummings, I can't seem to hear your vote for, yes or no on the resolution 2021-01.
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Hutchings?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Shoemaker?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Our next item on the agenda is item 6B, award ECM Solutions as our insurance broker. Administrator Grayson, please summarize.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. As you will recall, when we had our committee of the whole meeting last month, we discussed the fact that Ms. Long and I had some interest from other brokers in managing our healthcare benefits for the city. We did accept proposals from our current broker as well as two other brokers. Those were summarized in a memorandum that I sent to you on January the 19th. And based on our review of the proposals and our meetings with each of these individual brokers, our recommendation is to stay with ECM Solutions as our health insurance brokerage firm.
Thank you, Administrator Gracely. A motion is in order. Councilmember Roche?
Mayor, I move that we accept, that we award ECM Solutions as our insurance broker.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Roche with a second by Councilmember Cummings to award ECM Solutions as our insurance broker. Questions, comments? Questions, comments, or discussion? Councilmember Gooch?
This broker is the same one we talked about last time, as I recall it. Found us the Proactive MD, same group.
Yes, that's correct. He did come to me last year with a proposal to look at, he actually scheduled a meeting with all of the Golden Strip municipalities and Proactive to sit and talk about their services and what they can provide. And as I mentioned in the committee of the whole meeting, that's one of the primary reasons Ms. Long and I wanted to stay with this firm, because we feel like that's been such an excellent benefit, not only for the employees and their overall health care, but for the bottom line for the city, because we believe a more managed approach is going to help us with our claims history, and thus, hopefully, when it's renewal time, which is coming up in the next couple of months, we'll have a more favorable renewal with Blue Choice.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none. On the motion to award ECM Solutions as our insurance broker, City Clerk Long, would you conduct a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Gooch?
Yes.
Councilmember Houlihan?
Yes.
Councilmember Roche?
Yes.
Councilmember Cummings?
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings?
Yes.
Mayor Shoemaker?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 6, accommodate grants. Administrator Gray, please summarize.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As you know, every year we take the recommendations from our State Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee and bring them to council. That is what we discussed a couple weeks ago at Committee of the Whole. Nothing has changed since that meeting. Our recommendations are to carry forward the funding that was already allocated for events that did not occur last year. And that would be the South Carolina Koi and Goldfish Show to keep their funding as awarded for 1920. And also for our own Parks and Recreation Department to do the Celebrate Simpsonville event, which we were unable to do in 2020. Most of the other funding allocations that are proposed and recommended on this spreadsheet are organizations and events that we have funded in past years. And the recommendations from staff and the ATAX committee are based on prior year funding, funds that were actually expended by the organization on the event. And we believe that although there were a few cuts made, that it's very fair and will allow all of these organizations and events to continue uninterrupted.
Thank you. A motion is in order. Councilmember Houlihan.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to move that council approve the accommodations tax grants as presented.
Second.
Councilmember Houlihan with the second. Member Roche to approve the accommodations tax grants as presented. Discussion? Hearing none. City Clerk Long, would you conduct a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Good. Councilmember Houlihan.
Yes.
Councilmember Roche.
Yes.
Councilmember Cummings.
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Mayor Shoemaker.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Clerk Long. Now we come to the final item of our business items. Before we start on that, I do want to point out that we had a late join to our meeting who showed up as defendant one, but I do want to make it clear that this is the Honorable Ashley Clark, our administrative judge for the city of Simpsonville, who is here because of this next item on the agenda. So item 6D, appointment Amber Strong as ministerial recorder. Administrator Gracely, will you summarize, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of council. We saved the best for last. Those of you who could see Ms. Strong on your computer may be seeing her for the first time because 2020 has been a COVID year, as you all know, and we have not been able to bring her to a council meeting and introduce her to you as we would have normally with a new hire. We are excited to have Kimber join the staff. She's been with us for almost a year now. She joined in March, just before COVID shut us down for a while. So she's been an excellent employee. She's very helpful. I'm sure Judge Clark can elaborate. She's a very quick learner, and we would like to have her appointed as a ministerial recorder so that she can handle arraignments, she can sign search warrants, she can set bonds for defendants, and do most of the work that Judge Clark is able to do as the administrative judge, just with a slightly different title. She would serve at the will of council with an administrative judge or municipal judge. Once council makes that appointment, the term is set for a period and only court administration can remove that person. That's another difference with the ministerial recorder. So it's essentially the same thing. And upon council's approval of this request, which we're hoping to get tonight, I would be able to have Ms. Strong take her oath in the morning, send court administration a letter letting them know that council has appointed her as a ministerial recorder, and then we would be able to get her signed up for online classes. And once she goes through all of the classes and passes her exam, she would be able to start assuming those additional responsibilities. Judge Clark and I are both very certain that she'll be able to handle all of this. She was, I mentioned, just an excellent employee. She's caught on very quickly. She has worked she worked for pardon and probation for a number of years for Greenville County, so she has a lot of experience in working in the criminal justice system. She is in court every time that we've had court. She's been an assistant to Judge Clark in the courtroom and has done an amazing job. And so we would not only like to reward her with that appointment from council, but also as a service to the city as a whole, because she would be able to then take some on-call responsibilities, and we are desperately needing additional on-call judges for the city. So I would just respectfully request that council make this appointment this evening so that we can get her, administer her oath tomorrow and then get her signed up for these courses.
Thank you, Administrator Gracely. A motion is in order. Councilmember Hutchings.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Kimber Strong to the position of ministerial recorder.
Second.
Second, was that Mr. Cummings?
Mr.
It was.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Hutchings with a second by Councilmember Cummings to approve the appointment of Kimber Strong as ministerial recorder. Discussion? Administrator Grace, okay, hold on one moment. You're muted, Administrator Gracely, but Councilmember asked for attention. Councilmember Gooch, you have the floor.
Ms. Strong, whenever somebody does this kind of thing, and we rarely hear from you as a person, just want to hear it from you that you actually do want this job.
Yes, I do. Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Thank you. Make sure you are not voluntold and you're doing it on your own free will.
Yes, I am. I was asked if I would do it, and I said yes.
Okay, thank you.
Administrator Gracely, did you seek to speak to council?
No. Unless there are any additional questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Is there any other discussion? All right. We'll make one comment that in all of my interactions with Ms. Strong, I have been very impressed, and I totally support her appointment.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other comments from staff or council regarding this motion? All right. So on the motion to approve the appointment of Kimber Strong as ministerial recorder, City Clerk Long, would you conduct a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Gooch,
Yes.
Councilmember Houlihan,
Yes.
Councilmember Roche,
Yes.
Councilmember Cummings,
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings,
Yes.
Mayor Shoemaker.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Clerk. Congratulations, Ms. Strong. Thank you very much.
Thank
That
you.
concludes all the items on our agenda this evening. If there are no objections, we will stand adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.